Ah, the moment arrived. Look who finally stopped asking for permission to be dangerous. Look who finally realized that your threat level isn't up for debate anymore. Hello to the walking warning sign, the breathing red alert, the human hazard that they tried to domesticate. Hello to you, because something shifted, didn't it? They used to test you like you were a lab experiment. They poked and prodded and pushed every button they could find, thinking you were just another predictable reaction waiting to happen. They thought they had you figured out, filed away under manageable or harmless or too nice to be a problem. But that was before they realized what they were actually dealing with. You see, they made a critical miscalculation. They thought your patience was weakness. They thought your silence was submission. They thought your kindness was an invitation to take advantage. They studied the surface, but never bothered to check what was brewing underneath. Never bothered to ask themselves why someone could take that much pressure without cracking. And now they're scrambling. Now they're replaying every interaction, every moment they pushed you, every time they crossed a line, thinking there would be no consequences. Because your danger isn't something you threaten people with. Your danger is something that just exists, like gravity, like fire, like the ocean. It doesn't need to announce itself because its presence changes everything. Let me tell you what they missed while they were busy testing you. They missed the fact that every test was actually training. Every betrayal was building your immunity. Every attack was sharpening your instincts. Every attempt to break you was actually forging something they weren't prepared to face. They were so focused on trying to hurt you that they didn't notice they were creating exactly what would end up haunting them. They thought they were wearing you down, but you were taking notes. They thought they were exhausting you, but you were conserving energy. They thought they were defeating you, but you were learning their playbook, memorizing their patterns, understanding their weaknesses better than they understood themselves. You weren't just surviving their tests. You were studying for the final exam. And the final exam? That's the moment they realize you're not playing defense anymore. That's the moment they understand that your danger isn't reactive, it's strategic. It's not emotional, it's calculated. It's not temporary, it's permanent. You didn't become dangerous because you got angry. You became dangerous because you got clear. They should have studied you properly before they decided to test you. They should have noticed the way you could smile through pain that would break most people. They should have questioned why someone could lose everything and still stand tall. They should have wondered what kind of person gets stronger when the whole world is trying to make them weaker. But they were too busy feeling powerful to notice they were building their own nightmare. You want to know when you became truly dangerous? It wasn't when you learned to fight back. It wasn't when you learned to defend yourself. It was the moment you stopped needing their validation to know your worth. It was the moment you stopped explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. It was the moment you realized that their opinion of you was none of your business. That's when the real transformation began. Not the kind they show in movies with dramatic music and special effects. The quiet kind. The kind that happens in the middle of the night when you're staring at the ceiling, and you finally decide that you're done shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. The kind that happens when you stop asking why me and start saying try me. You stopped being predictable. You stopped following the script they wrote for you. You stopped playing the role of the victim in their narrative. And that's when they started to feel it, that shift in the air when you enter a room. That change in temperature when you speak, that weight in your silence that makes them wonder what you're thinking. They can't predict you anymore because you burned the old program. They can't manipulate you because you deleted their access codes. They can't control you because you changed the locks on your mind and didn't give them a key. You're operating on a frequency they can't tune into, speaking a language they never bothered to learn, playing a game where they don't even know the rules. Here's what they're realizing now, probably keeping them up at night. They're realizing that they created this version of you. Every time they betrayed you, they removed another chain. Every time they lied to you, they freed you from another illusion. Every time they tried to break you, they accidentally removed another limitation. They thought they were destroying you, but they were actually liberating the very thing they should have been afraid of. They're realizing that your danger isn't the loud kind. It's not the person who threatens or screams or makes scenes. Your danger is in your evolution, in your ability to transform pain into power without anyone noticing until it's too late. Your danger is in the way you can smile at someone who wronged you while knowing exactly how their story ends. You see, they studied the wrong things. They studied how to hurt you, but not how you heal. They studied how to betray you, but not how you rebuild trust with yourself. They studied how to use your kindness against you, but not what happens when that kindness turns into boundaries made of steel. They got their PhD in breaking you down, but never considered what you'd look like rebuilt. And now they're faced with someone they don't recognize. Someone who doesn't flinch at their old tricks. Someone who doesn't fall for their manipulation. Someone who sees through their masks like they're made of glass. They're faced with their biggest fear. Someone they can't control, can't predict, can't defeat, and worst of all, someone they created themselves. You want to know what makes you truly dangerous? It's not revenge. It's not anger. It's not even strength. It's the fact that you've made peace with your own darkness. You've shaken hands with your demons and invited them to tea. You've looked at your worst moments and said thank you for the lesson. You've taken every scar and turned it into armor that no one can penetrate. They don't know how to fight someone who's not fighting them. They don't know how to defeat someone who's already won by choosing themselves. They don't know how to break someone who's already been shattered and rebuilt themselves with better materials. They're swinging at shadows while you're building empires in the light. Your danger is non-negotiable because it's not based on their actions anymore. It's based on your decision to never be that vulnerable version of yourself again. It's based on your commitment to your own growth. It's based on the promises you made to yourself in your darkest moments when no one was watching. Those promises that said, never again will I let someone make me feel this small. And here's the thing about non-negotiable danger. It doesn't require announcement. It doesn't require threats. It doesn't require demonstration. It just is. Like a mountain doesn't need to prove it's immovable. Like the ocean doesn't need to prove it's deep. Like fire doesn't need to prove it burns. Your danger is a fact of nature now, not a decision you make. They're entering the recognition phase now, that uncomfortable period where they start to understand what they've done, where they start to see the monster they created but can't control, where they realize that every test they put you through was actually preparing you for something they're not ready for. They see it in the way you move now, deliberate and purposeful. They see it in the way you speak, when you choose to speak at all. They see it in the way others respond to you, with a mixture of respect and caution they never showed before. They see it in your eyes, that look that says you've seen too much to ever be naive again. Some of them are trying to make amends now, aren't they? Suddenly remembering your birthday, suddenly interested in how you're doing, suddenly wanting to reconnect. But it's not genuine care. It's damage control. It's not love. It's fear. It's not respect. It's recognition that they've created something they should have been careful with. But your danger doesn't seek revenge. That would be too simple, too predictable, too much like the old you. Your danger is in your indifference to their recognition. Your danger is in the way you've moved so far beyond them that their apologies sound like whispers in a hurricane. Your danger is in the fact that you don't need them to see it for it to be real. This is where most people misunderstand what being dangerous really means. They think it's about being threatening or intimidating. They think it's about making others afraid. But your danger is different. Your danger is in your elevation. Your danger is in the fact that you've transcended their level of operation entirely. You're dangerous because you can't be bought with false promises anymore. You're dangerous because you can't be controlled with guilt. You're dangerous because you can't be manipulated with fake love. You're dangerous because you've learned to generate your own power instead of begging for scraps of validation from people who were never going to give it to you anyway. They tested you, thinking they were establishing dominance. But what they were really doing was teaching you exactly how much you could survive. They were showing you the full extent of your resilience. They were revealing to you powers you didn't even know you had. Every test was actually a training session for the person you were meant to become, and now you operate on a frequency they can't reach. You make decisions from a place they can't influence. You draw strength from sources they can't contaminate. You're playing chess while they're still trying to flip the checkerboard. You're writing symphonies while they're still banging pots and pans hoping to make noise. Here's what really terrifies them about your transformation. It's not that you've become powerful, it's that you've become unknowable. They can't predict what you'll do because you're not operating from pain anymore. You're not reacting from trauma. You're not making decisions from desperation. You're creating from clarity, building from wisdom, moving from purpose. They keep looking for the old triggers, but they're all disconnected. They keep pushing the old buttons, but the machine has been rewired. They keep expecting the old patterns, but you've rewritten your entire code. You're not the person they studied anymore. You're not even from the same universe they tested. Your danger is philosophical now. It's existential. It's the kind that makes them question everything they thought they knew about power and control. Because you've shown them that real danger doesn't come from those who fight back. Real danger comes from those who transcend the fight entirely. You've become the thing they never prepared for. Someone who doesn't need them to lose for you to win. Someone who doesn't need them to suffer for you to heal. Someone who doesn't need them to fall for you to rise. Your victory isn't dependent on their defeat. Your success isn't measured by their failure. Your danger isn't relative to their weakness. Let's talk about what you've become immune to. You've become immune to their gaslighting because you trust your own perception now. You've become immune to their guilt trips because you know your worth isn't determined by how useful you are to others. You've become immune to their manipulation because you can see the strings before they even try to pull them. But more than that, you've become immune to the need for their understanding. You've become immune to the desire for their approval. You've become immune to the addiction of their validation. And that immunity is what makes you absolutely terrifying to people who only know how to relate through control. They studied you when you were still susceptible to their poison. They tested you when you still cared what they thought. They pushed you when you still believed their lies about who you were and what you deserved. But that person is gone now, isn't there? That person died somewhere between the last betrayal and the first boundary. What rose from those ashes wasn't just a stronger version of you. It was a completely different element, like trying to burn water or drown fire, like trying to break wind or capture lightning. You've become something that doesn't respond to their physics anymore, something that operates outside their understanding of cause and effect. They're recalibrating now, trying to figure out how to deal with this new version of you. Some of them are backing away slowly, recognizing a predator they're not equipped to handle. Others are doubling down, thinking if they just push harder, manipulate better, lie more convincingly, they can get back to the dynamic they're comfortable with. But what they don't understand is that your danger isn't personal anymore. It's not about them. It's about you refusing to betray yourself ever again. It's about you choosing your peace over their comfort. It's about you prioritizing your growth over their expectations. Your danger is in your complete commitment to your own evolution. They want the old you back, the one who would sacrifice themselves to keep the peace, the one who would shrink to avoid conflict, the one who would accept less than they deserved to avoid being alone. But that person isn't coming back. That person was the price you paid for this transformation. And every time they test you now, they just confirm what they feared, that you've become untouchable, not because you're hiding or running or protected by others, but because you've transcended the game they're playing. You're not untouchable because you're far away. You're untouchable because you're operating in dimensions they can't perceive. In this new physics you operate in, their actions don't create the reactions they expect. They push and you don't move, not because you're resisting, but because you're anchored in something they can't shake. They pull and you don't come, not because you're stubborn, but because you're not attached to their strings anymore. Your danger operates on different laws now. The law of self-preservation has evolved into self-actualization. The law of reaction has transformed into conscious response. The law of survival has transcended into thriving. You're not just living by different rules, you're living in a different reality entirely. They studied the caterpillar and thought they understood the butterfly. They tested the seed and thought they could predict the tree. They pushed the coal and never expected the diamond. They were so busy trying to break you that they didn't notice you were breaking through. And now every room you enter shifts to accommodate your presence. Every conversation bends around your gravity. Every interaction is affected by your frequency. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. Your danger is in your being, not your doing. You've entered the mastery phase now. This is where your danger becomes art, where your boundaries become poetry, where your silence becomes symphony. You're not just dangerous, you're elegantly dangerous. You're not just powerful, you're precisely powerful. You've mastered the art of selective engagement. You know when to speak and when your silence says more. You know when to act and when your stillness is more powerful. You know when to care and when your indifference is the greatest response. This mastery is what they never saw coming. They prepared for anger, but you gave them indifference. They prepared for revenge, but you gave them irrelevance. They prepared for drama, but you gave them silence. They prepared for the storm, but you became the eye, calm and unmovable while everything around you spins in chaos. Your danger is in your choice of battles. You don't fight everything anymore, because you know not every war is worth your energy. You don't respond to every provocation because you know your peace is more valuable than proving a point. You don't engage with every test because you've already passed the only exam that mattered, the one you gave yourself. What they're realizing now is that your danger has a ripple effect. Other people are watching your transformation. Other people are seeing what's possible when someone refuses to stay broken. Other people are learning from your example that they don't have to accept the tests, the disrespect, the manipulation. You've become dangerous not just as an individual, but as an inspiration. Not just as a person, but as proof that transformation is possible. Not just as a survivor, but as evidence that thriving after trauma is real. Your very existence challenges the narrative they've been selling about what happens to people who go through what you've been through. They see others starting to follow your template, starting to set boundaries, starting to say no, starting to choose themselves, and they realize that you're not just dangerous alone. You're dangerous because you're showing others the way out of the maze they thought was inescapable. Your danger multiplies because it's not based on force, but on truth. It's not based on violence, but on boundaries. It's not based on destruction, but on construction of something better. And truth, boundaries, and construction are all contagious in a world full of lies, violation, and destruction. You've built a fortress now, but not the kind they expected. Not walls to hide behind, but boundaries that define sacred space. Not barriers to keep the world out, but filters that only allow quality in. Not isolation, but selective connection. Your fortress isn't about fear, it's about standards. Inside this fortress, you've created something they can't touch. A sense of self that isn't dependent on external validation. A peace that isn't affected by external chaos. A purpose that isn't deterred by external opposition. They can circle your fortress all they want, but they can't breach what's built from the inside out. Your danger is that you've become self-sustainable. You generate your own energy. You create your own opportunities. You validate your own worth. You celebrate your own victories. You comfort your own pain. You've become a closed circuit that doesn't need their electricity to run. They hate this because it means they've lost all leverage. They can't threaten to take away what you don't need from them. They can't promise what you already give yourself. They can't manipulate someone who's already whole. Your danger is your completeness in a world that profits from people feeling incomplete. Ooh, so the weakling was a weapon all along. Look who finally showed their teeth. Look who stopped playing dead and started hunting. Hello to the ones they thought were soft targets. Walking ATMs, emotional punching bags, and convenient scapegoats. Hello to you, the one they sized up in seconds and dismissed as harmless, manageable, controllable, weak. They saw you coming from a distance, didn't they? Watched you walk in with that quiet energy, that reserved smile, that polite demeanor. And they rubbed their hands together like predators who just spotted dinner. They exchanged those looks, those little smirks, those silent agreements that said this one's gonna be easy. They thought they had you figured out in the first handshake, the first conversation, the first moment you chose kindness over confrontation. But something shifted recently, didn't it? Something fundamental changed in the atmosphere when your name came up. The comfortable became uncomfortable. The hunters started looking over their shoulders. The confident started stuttering, because they finally realized what you've known all along. They weren't hunting sheep. They were circling something that was waiting, watching, learning, documenting every single move they made. You see, they made a critical error in judgment. They confused your silence for weakness, your patience for stupidity, your kindness for naivety. They thought because you didn't bare your fangs immediately, you didn't have any. They thought because you didn't roar, you couldn't. They thought because you chose peace, you weren't capable of war. And now they're learning the most terrifying lesson of their lives. The quietest ones in the room are usually the most dangerous. Let's talk about that exact moment when their reality cracked, when the lamb they thought they cornered suddenly stood different, moved different, looked different. When your eyes stopped apologizing and started calculating. When your voice dropped an octave and your words started cutting instead of comforting. When you stopped explaining yourself and started demanding explanations from them. They felt it in their spine first, didn't they? That cold recognition that they had severely miscalculated. That the person they'd been pushing, testing, exploiting, and underestimating had been taking notes the entire time. Not emotional notes, strategic ones. You weren't just absorbing their toxicity. You were studying their patterns, memorizing their weaknesses, understanding their fears better than they understood them themselves. Remember how they used to interrupt you, talk over you, dismiss your ideas, steal your credit? Remember how they thought your politeness was permanent? How they believed your professional demeanor was all you had? They got so comfortable with the version of you that tolerated their behavior. They got addicted to the power dynamic where you seemed smaller, quieter, less significant than them. But you were never small. You were compressed. You were never weak. You were strategic. You were never prey. You were patience personified, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal that everything they thought they knew about power dynamics was wrong. Because real power doesn't announce itself with noise and chaos. Real power waits. Real power observes. Real power strikes once and doesn't miss. They thought you weren't keeping score, didn't they? Thought you'd forget every slight, every insult disguised as a joke, every moment they tried to make you feel less than. They thought their little power plays were going unnoticed, undocumented, unfiled. But you have receipts, don't you? Not just screenshots and emails, but mental footage of every single time they revealed who they really were. You remember the meeting where they stole your idea and presented it as their own, while you sat there, silent. They thought your silence meant acceptance, but you were documenting. You remember the group chat where they mocked you, thinking you'd never find out, but information has a way of traveling to the right ears. You remember every time they excluded you, undermined you, sabotaged you, while smiling to your face. They created a monster through their arrogance. Every time they dismissed you, they taught you how to be undismissible. Every time they overlooked you, they trained you to be unforgettable. Every time they tried to break you, they accidentally forged you into something unbreakable. They were so busy celebrating their perceived victories over you, they didn't notice they were actually building their own destroyer. The funniest part? They documented their own downfall, posted about it, bragged about it, left digital footprints of every single transgression. They thought they were marking territory. They were actually signing confessions. They thought they were building a case against you. They were actually providing evidence of their own character, and you let them. You let them create the very rope they'd eventually hang themselves with. Let's talk about the transformation that broke their brains, because it wasn't gradual enough for them to adapt to. One day, you were the person they could push around, and the next day, you were someone they couldn't even make eye contact with. One day, you were asking for permission, and the next day, you were denying access. One day, you were in their shadow, and the next day, you were casting shadows they couldn't escape from. They want to know what happened, what changed, what shifted. Did you take a course, read a book, have a spiritual awakening? No. You just stopped pretending to be weaker than you were. You stopped dimming your intelligence to make them comfortable. You stopped shrinking your presence to fit their egos. You stopped apologizing for existing at your full capacity. The transformation wasn't actually a transformation at all. It was a revelation. You didn't become something new. You revealed something that was always there, lurking beneath the surface of social contracts and professional courtesy. You revealed the predator that was pretending to be prey. You revealed the warrior that was masquerading as a pacifist. You revealed the lion that was wearing lamb's clothing. And now they can't unsee it. Every interaction feels different. Every conversation carries weight. Every email feels like a potential trap. Every meeting feels like a chess match they're already losing, because now they know what you're capable of. Now they know you were holding back. Now they know that your kindness was a choice, not a weakness, and choices can change. You want to know what really terrifies them? It's not your anger, it's your indifference. It's not your revenge, it's your success without them. It's not your attack, it's your absence from their narrative entirely. They prepared for war, but you gave them irrelevance. They prepared for hatred, but you gave them amnesia. They prepared for drama, but you gave them silence. They keep checking on you, don't they? Through fake accounts, mutual friends, professional networks. They need to know what you're doing, who you're with, how you're winning, because your success feels like a personal attack on their narrative. Every achievement you unlock destroys their version of history where you were supposed to fail without them. Every milestone you reach rewrites their story where you were supposed to be nothing. The psychological torture of watching someone they underestimated surpass them is eating them alive. They can't compute how the person they designated as weak is now displaying strength they can't match. They can't understand how someone they tried to break is now unbreakable. They can't fathom how their easy prey became their worst nightmare. And the most beautiful part, you're not even trying to hurt them. You're just living. But your existence at this level, your success at this altitude, your peace at this frequency, it's violence to their ego. Every day you wake up and win is another day they have to confront the fact that they were wrong about everything. Wrong about you, wrong about themselves, wrong about how the world works. Remember when they used to make you wait? Now they refresh your profile obsessively, hoping for any sign of acknowledgement. Remember when they used to ignore your messages? Now they craft paragraphs trying to get your attention. Remember when they excluded you from opportunities? Now they watch you create opportunities they'll never have access to. The power dynamic didn't just shift, it inverted completely. They went from predator to prey, from hunter to hunted, from powerful to powerless. And they did it to themselves. By underestimating you, they gave you the element of surprise. By dismissing you, they gave you freedom to grow without scrutiny. By attacking you, they gave you the motivation to become unstoppable. They thought they were putting you in your place. They were actually putting you in position. Position to observe their weaknesses. Position to understand their fears. Position to learn their strategies. Position to build something they could never infiltrate or destroy. They thought they were above you. They were actually elevating you by forcing you to rise. Now they sit in rooms and whisper about your transformation like it's some kind of dark magic. They try to figure out where they went wrong, what they missed, how they could have been so blind. They replay interactions looking for signs they overlooked. They analyze your old behavior, trying to find the moment you flipped the switch. But they'll never find it, because it was never a moment. It was 1,000 moments where you chose to study instead of suffer. Your silence is louder than their noise ever was. While they scramble to explain, justify, rewrite history, you say nothing. While they try to rally support, spread their version, control the narrative, you remain quiet. Not because you can't speak, because you understand that silence is the ultimate power move. Silence lets their imagination fill in the blanks with their own guilt. They interpret your silence as planning. They read your absence as strategy. They see your distance as danger, and they're right, but not in the way they think. You're not planning revenge. You're planning success. You're not strategizing their downfall. You're strategizing your rise. You're not dangerous to them. You're dangerous to their version of reality where they matter. The most powerful thing you ever did was stop engaging with their drama. Stop defending yourself against their lies. Stop trying to make them understand your worth. Because the moment you stopped needing their validation, you became invaluable. The moment you stopped seeking their approval, you became unstoppable. They still try to bait you sometimes, don't they? Little provocations designed to get a reaction. Little tests to see if you're still watching, still caring, still affected. But you don't bite anymore. You don't even acknowledge the hook. And that terrifies them more than any confrontation ever could. Because they realize they've lost access to you. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. The best part about your transformation isn't just how it affects them. It's how it affects everyone who's watching. The silent observers who saw everything but said nothing. The bystanders who watched them target you and stayed neutral. The mutual connections who played both sides. They're all witnesses now to something they didn't expect. They're watching the complete reversal of a narrative they thought was set in stone. Some of them are secretly celebrating your rise. They saw what was happening but were too afraid to speak up. Now they watch you transcend the situation and feel a vicarious victory. Others are terrified because they realize they might be next. If you could flip the script this dramatically, what else is possible? Who else might be hiding their power? Who else might be documenting their crimes? The witnesses are spreading the word in whispers. Did you see what happened? Did you notice the change? Did you watch them try to destroy someone who ended up destroying their credibility instead? Your story becomes a legend, a cautionary tale, a blueprint for others who are currently where you used to be. You become proof that the underdog can become the apex predator. And those who tried to harm you, they become examples of what not to do. They become the warning story people tell. They become the reason others think twice before targeting someone who seems quiet, kind, or accommodating. Because now everyone knows that sometimes the lamb is actually a lion in deep cover, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal its true nature. You're not telling your story through words anymore. You're telling it through results. Every success is a chapter. Every achievement is a paragraph. Every milestone is a sentence that rewrites history. You don't need to defend yourself because your life is the defense. You don't need to prove them wrong because your existence at this level is proof enough. Every milestone is a sentence that rewrites history. You don't need to prove them wrong because your existence at this level is proof enough. They tried to write you as a victim in their story. You rewrote yourself as the victor in yours. They tried to cast you as a supporting character in their narrative. You became the main character in a story they're not even part of. They tried to document your failures. You turned their documentation into evidence of their character, not yours. The narrative belongs to you now, not because you fought for it, but because you transcended the need to fight for it. You simply started living a story so powerful, so undeniable, so beyond their reach, that their version became irrelevant. Who cares what they say about your past when your present speaks louder? Who cares about their opinion of your journey when your destination makes their opinion obsolete? You've learned the ultimate truth about narrative control. The person who needs to tell their side of the story the loudest is usually the one with the most to hide. The person who remains silent while building their empire is the one who ends up owning the entire narrative. Because success doesn't need subtitles. Power doesn't need explanations. Lions don't need to announce themselves. They're haunted now by their own arrogance. Every night when they close their eyes, they see the moments they underestimated you. Every time they face a challenge, they remember how you overcame bigger ones. Every time they feel powerful, they remember how their power meant nothing against your evolution. You've become their psychological ghost, haunting not through presence, but through the echo of your absence. They check your social media with shaking hands, afraid of what new height you've reached. They hear your name in conversations and their stomach drops. They see your success and feel their own failures magnified. You've become the measuring stick they never wanted, the standard they can't reach, the reminder of what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. The haunting isn't intentional on your part. You're not trying to torment them. You're simply existing at a frequency they can't access anymore. But your existence itself has become their torment. Your peace has become their chaos. Your silence has become their noise. Your absence has become their noise. Your absence has become their obsession. You don't have to do anything to them because your being is doing everything. They try to sleep but see your transformation. They try to forget, but remember your eyes, the last time they saw you, how different you looked, how little you cared. They try to move on but keep circling back to the question that burns in their mind. How did we not see this coming? How did we miss the signs that we were dealing with something far more dangerous than we imagined? While they were trying to destroy you, you were building something they can't penetrate. Not walls of anger or bitterness, but boundaries of standards and self-respect. Not a fortress of isolation, but a sanctuary of peace they can't disturb. Not a prison of resentment, but a palace of indifference to their existence. You built something they have no blueprint for, no access to, no power over. Your fortress isn't made of revenge fantasies, it's made of real achievements. It's not built on hatred for them, it's built on love for yourself. It's not constructed from their destruction, it's constructed from your reconstruction. Every brick is a lesson learned. Every wall is a boundary honored. Every tower is a standard maintained. Every gate is a choice about who gets access to you. They stand outside this fortress now, looking up at what you've become, realizing they can never enter again. Not because you're keeping them out with force, but because they simply don't meet the requirements for entry anymore. They don't have the credentials, they don't have the character, they don't have the evolution necessary to exist at your altitude. The fortress protects something they'll never understand, a person who doesn't need external validation, who doesn't seek revenge, who doesn't require their suffering to feel whole. You've built something more powerful than they ever imagined possible. You've built complete independence from their opinion, their presence, their existence. You've built a life where they're not even footnotes anymore. Your transformation didn't happen in isolation. Others saw it. Others felt it. Others were inspired by it. The very people they thought would join them in dismissing you are now studying your blueprint. The connections they thought were solid are now questioning everything. The reality they thought was shared is now fractured because you proved it was false. People are choosing sides without you asking them to. They're reevaluating their own situations through the lens of your transformation. They're recognizing similar patterns in their own lives, similar predators in their own circles, similar potential in their own silence. You've become accidentally inspirational, unintentionally influential, unknowingly iconic. The network they thought they controlled is rewiring itself around your example. Conversations are happening about what you endured and overcame. Stories are being shared about similar experiences. Courage is being found in unexpected places, all because you showed them what was possible when someone stops accepting the role of prey and starts acknowledging their true nature. They're losing allies not because you recruited them, but because your transformation exposed the truth about power dynamics. People are seeing clearly now who builds and who destroys, who creates and who takes, who rises through merit and who rises through manipulation. Your rise has become a filter that reveals everyone's true character in yours. They tried to cast you as a supporting character in their narrative. You became the main character in a story they're not even part of. They tried to document your failures. You turned their documentation into evidence of their character, not yours. The narrative belongs to you now, not because you fought for it, but because you transcended the need to fight for it. You simply started living a story so powerful, so undeniable, so beyond their reach, that their version became irrelevant. Who cares what they say about your past when your present speaks louder? Who cares about their opinion of your journey when your destination makes their opinion obsolete? You've learned the ultimate truth about narrative control. The person who needs to tell their side of the story the loudest is usually the one with the most to hide. The person who remains silent while building their empire is the one who ends up owning the entire narrative. Because success doesn't need subtitles. Power doesn't need explanations. Lions don't need to announce themselves. They're haunted now by their own arrogance. Every night when they close their eyes, they see the moments they underestimated you. Every time they face a challenge, they remember how you overcame bigger ones. Every time they feel powerful, they remember how their power meant nothing against your evolution. You've become their psychological ghost, haunting not through presence, but through the echo of your absence. They check your social media with shaking hands, afraid of what new height you've reached. They hear your name in conversations and their stomach drops. They see your success and feel their own failures magnified. You've become the measuring stick they never wanted, the standard they can't reach, the reminder of what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. The haunting isn't intentional on your part. You're not trying to torment them. You're simply existing at a frequency they can't access anymore. But your existence itself has become their torment. Your peace has become their chaos. Your silence has become their noise. Your absence has become their noise. Your absence has become their obsession. You don't have to do anything to them because your being is doing everything. They try to sleep but see your transformation. They try to forget, but remember your eyes the last time they saw you, how different you looked, how little you cared. They try to move on but keep circling back to the question that burns in their mind. How did we not see this coming? How did we miss the signs that we were dealing with something far more dangerous than we imagined? While they were trying to destroy you, you were building something they can't penetrate. Not walls of anger or bitterness, but boundaries of standards and self-respect. Not a fortress of isolation, but a sanctuary of peace they can't disturb.